Hello, my name's Toby Thompson. I'm here today with Lynette Ryals, Professor of Strategic Sales and Account Management, and Richard Wilding, Professor of Supply Chain Risk Management. Guys, we're talking about why can't companies sell more? Interesting title. As an example, I like celebrity chef programs. I listen to them, watch them, and then go out and try and buy the content, the ingredients they recommend on the program. Get to the shop, they're not on the shelves. I want them, why aren't they selling it to me? Well, Lynette, what's the problem? What does that show as a problem?
This is, I think, a really interesting issue. What we've seen happening in marketing and sales over the past 10 years or 20 years is an enormous increase in professionalism, much improved planning, very much better marketing and sales campaigns that are really very, very effective in stimulating demand for certain types of products or ingredients in the example that you were describing. But then, as you say, consumers are getting to the stores or to the shops and finding stockouts, so absence of product. So from the marketing and sales perspective, in a traditional company, I would lay the blame squarely on the operations and supply chain side, because what's been happening in operations and supply chain management has been a big focus on lean manufacturing, on low-cost manufacturing locations, and there's been a strong preference for producing standard products, and these aren't necessarily the things that the customers want to buy.
So Richard, Lynette's saying it's not marketing's fault, it's supply chain's fault, it's your fault. Well, how do you come back to that?
Well, it's true to say that, yes, everybody wants an easy life. And an easy life for sales and marketing, what they like doing is thinking, oh, we'll just create new products, new types of things, new campaigns, etc., because that's what they're paid to do. The supply chain people, of course, what we're wanting to do is to really sort of make a very efficient supply chain. So therefore, what you would like to do is to have one product and one way of doing everything, and that would sort things out. Of course, that creates quite a big conflict in terms of what's happening. One of the big issues, though, for a supply chain person is in order to be able to manage the supply chain effectively, you need adequate information. And the big issue is that generally, sales and marketing will not pass adequate information down to the supply chain people and professionals. They have these great plans, these big marketing campaigns. Generally, the supply chain people are the last people to hear about it. And if you're doing a promotion in a supermarket, for example, you can get uplifts in demand of, say, 400 or 500% during a promotional period. And a supply chain often is not geared to cope with that amount of uplift in demand.
But Lynette, that seems so fundamental, that there's no communication between two sides of the same company. It seems so basic to get that right.
You would think so, but in fact, when you look at a lot of companies, they are very much organised internally along what we call silo lines, the silo mentality, so that marketing and sales is treated as a completely separate function, separate department from operations and supply chain management. And marketing and sales are seen as the customer-facing, the outward-focused part of the business, whereas supply chain management and operations management has traditionally been very inwardly focused or backward focused, back along the supply chain, and the two halves, one is facing forwards, the other is facing backwards, and in a lot of businesses they just don't connect up.
You can't help but think it's a very stereotypical view of marketing front facing, supply chain rear facing. Surely in this day and age, surely Richard, but there's a way around this.
Well, there is. What ends up having to happen is effective collaboration within the organisation and also across the supply chain. So if you're thinking about moving produce into, say, a supermarket, it's not just the supermarket's responsibility, it's all their supply partners as well. This could be the people who are driving the lorries, could be the people who are managing the warehouse. It could be also the suppliers, so that could be farms and so on and so forth. And really what has to happen is a coordinated approach amongst all the people within the supply chain in order to do that. Marketing and sales, of course, what they need to be able to do as well is coordinate to some degree and make sure that information about their plans is passed down the supply chain in a very adequate and good manner.
So is it traditionally that marketeers weren't really interested in what Richard is saying, that that's what you do and I'll get on doing what I do? Is there some sort of contamination there which you would never want to cross?
I think that's a very uncomfortable question for a marketer, because I think we'd have to admit that, yes, sometimes we've been guilty of that and of thinking, well, we don't want to get our hands dirty, and really it's the job of supply chain to provide the products so that when we go out there and do our wonderful sales pitch, there they are, they're available for us to sell. But I think there is now a growing recognition that we can't go on in that way. It's an inefficient way of operating, and we're seeing a lot of companies who've got really quite high stock levels, so they've got a lot of stock sitting in their warehouses, but it's not the things that customers want to buy. They're not actually getting that out onto the street and meeting the demand that they've got. And I think what we've got to do is we need to overcome this problem by some better, well, not just information links actually, but some better internal links between the different traditional silos. We've got to break down that silo mentality.
So I guess as a consumer, which I am in this instance, I'm suddenly interested in supply chain. I want there to be my product, my ingredient on the shelves. So it seems like you're more important slightly than maybe the marketeers. Is there a tension there?
I like to think I'm more important than the marketeers, but of course that isn't quite the case. I mean, the supply chain function also is 6 to 1 and half a dozen to the other in terms of who you can blame, because supply chain generally has been very much focused on the optimization of processes, and that's very important because that enables us to keep the price down of many products, which also then enables the marketing people to create more value in the marketplace. So that is possible, but often what people will do is they will try and optimize what's going on within the supply chain, and we often talk about time which adds value, but how do they often supply chain people sit there calculating value adding time, but actually they don't talk to the marketing people about what actually adds value. So they're just guessing, and of course when they're guessing it's generally deep down what they want to achieve, which is standard products, standard ways of working, and so on and so forth. Now, all that's starting to change. So many of the companies that Lynette and myself are starting to work with are really having to now work together. So even in professional development, for example, we will have marketing people and supply chain people sitting in the same room.
So collaboration is key, it would seem. Lynette?
Yes, definitely. And I think that we've picked up on two areas of collaboration here. One of them is the internal collaboration, and that picks up on things like the information flows from sales and marketing through to supply chain. Also, I think planning. So supply chain planning no longer can be done in a vacuum. It's got to be integrated with the marketing planning of the organisation. So I think that collaboration inside the organisation is important. I also think that companies need to get better at collaborating externally, and this brings in not just supply chain management but from also key account management. So this is about how companies collaborate with their suppliers, and then the key account management side is how the suppliers collaborate with their customers. And what we've seen is that there's growing evidence that the companies who are good at this are actually making more money. So there are efficiency gains, and it's much more about just creating the demand that you can fulfill and focusing on the profitable demand.
So it's wrong to think about demand generation on one side and demand fulfillment on the other as two separate things. It's integrated. Your research seems to show some of that. Recommend some of the papers that you see on the web. Thank you for your time. Interesting debate. If you have any comments on this debate, do please leave them on the comments box below this window. Thank you very much.